the 1970s, Warner Leroy dreamed up a massive entertainment complex to service the tri-state area. The complex was to include a theme park, wildlife park, a sports complex, multiple hotels and restaurants. The complex was stated to open in multiple phases, the first being the theme park and wildlife park. Phase 1, known as Great Adventure and Wild Safari, opened its doors in 1974 to incredible success. That just 1 year later, the park almost doubled in size to help with park capacity and guest satisfaction. Warner Leroy realized that he bit off a little bit more than he could chew and sold off the park to Six Flags in 1977. The newly renamed Six Flags Great Adventure continued to be extremely popular, adding more rides like Lightning Loops, a pair of Aero Shuttle loops to increase the park capacity. To keep up with guest demand, Great Adventure announced that they would be adding the park's largest roller coaster to date.
After you've been struck by lightning loops, there's still the fury of rolling thunder, the deafening roar and cyclone force of Great Adventure's two mighty new wood coasters. You're plunged from the top of a towering drop, white-knuckled and trembling, lashed to and fro, screaming through space. 50 miles an hour, you ride out the rage of its hurricane blow. Rolling Thunder, have you got what it takes to weather the storm? Rolling Thunder, only at Great Adventure.
Featured as the main attraction in the brand new Western-themed area of the park, Rolling Thunder, a racing wooden coaster, was announced to open for the 1979 season. The coaster would be designed by Don Rosser and William Cobb. Standing at a height of 96 feet, the coaster would have a drop of 85.2 feet at a 45-degree angle, reach speeds of 56 miles per hour, and have a track length of 3,200 feet per side. Rolling Thunder was built during the coaster renaissance, where parks were building racing coasters at astonishing levels, like Racer at Kings Island, Rebel Yell at Kings Dominion, Thunder Road at Carowinds, and American Eagle at Great America. Construction for Rolling Thunder began in the off-season of 1978. Built by Frontier Construction, the ride area took sections of the original parking lot, as well as some previous undeveloped woodlands. Hundreds of trees were removed to accommodate the coaster's superstructure. The ride featured 10 hills on each track and had an impressive 850,000 board feet of Douglas fir lumber. Wherever they were able to, trees were left to make the ride feel like you were flying through the forest at night. Rolling Thunder was completely different than other racing coasters of its time due to it having two completely different figure-8 layouts, while other racing coasters just featured a mirrored out and back layout. Construction continued on through the off-season with no issues, and by spring of 1979, the finishing touches were being added to the coaster station building. Like the Hernando's Hideaway game section inside the land, the ride station and final breaks were given a Spanish theme, with the addition of stucco walls and red tile roof. 4 3-bench PTC trains that had 5 cars each arrived on site, and soon Rolling Thunder was completing cycle after cycle, getting ready for its opening day. At a cost of $5 million, or about $21.2 million in today's money, Rolling Thunder opened to the public on June 9, 1979. The coaster opened to rave reviews and very long waits. Rolling Thunder was able to achieve a throughput of 1,200 riders per track per hour, or 2,400 riders per hour when both tracks were running their two 30-passenger trains. According to the park, the opening of Rolling Thunder also concluded a 2-year, $16 million park expansion project that included Lightning Loops, Rolling Thunder, Hernando's Hideaway, and other park improvements. And in today's money, all of that would have equaled about $67.8 million. The ride experience went as follows. The left track would make a left-hand turn out of the station and climb up the 96-foot-tall lift hill. The train would drop to ground level, reaching its maximum speed of 56 miles per hour, and then climb up a large hill. The train would then travel over a speed hill before climbing up into the turnaround, making an unbanked right-hand turn. The train would then travel down a straight drop, then begin to coast through a series of bunny hills that alternated with the other track. About halfway through those bunny hills, the train would make a sharp 45-degree turn, causing some great laterals. The train would continue to alternate bunny hills with the other track for a few more hills before lining up for the final unbanked turn to the left. Guests on board would see the other train flying around the turn to see who would finish first. The right track would also make a left-hand turn out of the station, climb up the 96-foot-tall lift hill, and drop back to ground level, reaching its maximum speed of 56 miles per hour. But this is where the differences in layouts began. The train would travel over a speed hill and then up and over a large hill. For the right track's turnaround, the train would travel an unbanked upwards right-hand turn to the right, followed by an unbanked drop of the same angle to the right. Similar to the left track, the train began to coast through a series of bunny hills that alternated with the other track. About halfway through the bunny hills, the train would make an even sharper, more intense, unbanked 45-degree turn to the right. The train would continue to alternate bunny hills with the other track for a few more hills before lining up for the final unbanked turn to the left. The coaster had an interesting block setup. What? You don't know what a block zone is? Well, who better to tell you about it than my friend Toro Ryan. Take it away, my dude.
For those of you who are unfamiliar, a block zone is a section of ride that only one train may occupy. At the end of a block zone is a method to stop a train in case the block zone ahead is still occupied. This is the safety system that prevents roller coaster trains from colliding with one another.
Rolling Thunder's 4 blocks went as follows. Block 1 was from dispatch brake to middle of the lift hill. Block 2 was from the middle of the lift to the top of the lift. Block 3 was from the top of the lift to the trim and ready brake. And Block 4 was from the ready brake to the dispatch brake. After the ride cycle, the ride would stop as far away from the station as possible. Typically, this would be in the trim or ready brake. Once the train in the station was dispatched, the train on the trim and ready brake would advance right outside the dispatch brake. How the ride was programmed was once the train on the lift hill was cleared block 1 and was past the yellow line halfway up the lift hill, the next train was then able to advance into the station. So even though the previous train has long left the station, the ride system, due to its strange programming of including half the lift hill into the station block, wouldn't allow the train to park in the station until the train was about to clear the lift hill. I'm told that this is due to the possibility of the train sliding through the skid brakes. This would allow more than enough buffer room between the two trains to ensure that there would never be a collision. A few years after opening, changes began happening to the coaster. Originally, the coaster opened with a yellow line on the ground for guests to stand behind as trains were moving, and railings to guide guests to their rows. To increase rider safety, air gates were added to the platform to prevent guests from being too close to moving trains. The trains were retrofitted to include headrests, and the seats went from a bench design to an individual seat with a divider between the two guests. Seatbelts were also added to the attraction to increase rider safety. The 1980s were not kind to Six Flags Great Adventure. The first accident to occur on Rolling Thunder was just a few years after its opening on August 16, 1981, when a 20-year-old park employee was ejected from the coaster for riding in an unauthorized position. Less than 2 weeks later, a guest came back into the station unconscious. Medical examiners declared that the guest had choked during the ride. While both accidents were tragic, both were not deemed to be at the fault of the coaster, which resulted in the ride quickly reopening. In 1984, Rolling Thunder received its first attempt at a popularity boost.
This is a scream backwards. The kind of hair-raising cry you can only hear when you ride the new Red Nooth Milor at Great Adventure. Red Nooth Milor, the most thrilling ride ever devised, because Red Nooth Milor is rolling thunder backwards, and that's exactly how you ride it. Rolling thunder, 14 of the world's most terrifying drops and turns at 50 miles an hour, sitting backwards. As you plunge 11 stories toward Earth while you face the sky and suck air.
The park decided to turn the trains on the left track backwards. The transition was actually pretty simple. All the park's maintenance teams had to do was switch the chain dogs backwards and switch some signage so that the guests facing backwards could read it. Now, there are a few reasons to why this didn't last. One was because of possible rider discomfort due to not being able to brace for the sudden drops and turns. Another was because of insurance reasons. Due to the trains not being ran how they were designed to run, if an accident were to occur, the insurance companies would not cover the cost and leave the park fully liable. But both are just rumors to my knowledge. Either way, after just one season, the trains were flipped back around and have run forward ever since. In 1986, Ultra Twister was added to the side of Rolling Thunder's lift hill, which caused a lot of the trees in the area to be removed. By removing all the trees, it caused the ride to lose a little bit of its charm. It also made Rolling Thunder look a lot smaller next to this new state-of-the-art screen machine. In 1989, Ultra Twister was removed and placed into the ride rotation program, but its plot of land was left abandoned for many years, causing Rolling Thunder's charm to diminish even more. The next big change to Rolling Thunder came in 1995 with the addition of Viper. Viper was known to be a terrible coaster, but one thing it did do well was its theming. The coaster had tons of Ghost Town theming for the queue line, which while it did look great in Viper's line, it looked terrible while riding Rolling Thunder, as the structures were not complete buildings and were supported by scaffolding. But looking at Rolling Thunder off-ride, the area looked much more complete and made the coaster look much more imposing once again. The 2000s had many changes happen to the coaster, the first being in the off-season leading up to the 2002 season. The parking lot in front of Rolling Thunder became home to the season pass holder entrance to the park. This wouldn't last long though, due to a major park expansion plan for the 2005 season.
A golden kingdom has been discovered at Six Flags Great Adventure. A land of mystery, a land of intrigue, And rising above it all, the tallest, fastest roller coaster on Earth, Kingdakev. You will hit 128 miles per hour and soar 456 feet in the air. It's a whole new great adventure.
The land as well as Kingdakev were built along the previous parking lot sides of Rolling Thunder, as well as the final turnaround and brake run. Themed to a lush jungle, the Golden Kingdom added many attractions around Rolling Thunder, like Balan's Jungle Land, a section that featured many children's rides and play structures. The land also featured animal exhibits, as well as, of course, Kingdakev. The changes to the area were actually a good thing for Rolling Thunder, as it brought more guests to the area, as well as dense foliage to help once again hide the coaster's tracks from view. At the same time that the Golden Kingdom was being built on the backside of Rolling Thunder, the front of the coaster once again saw a demolition of another, Viper. As the 2004 season ended, rumors once again were in full force that Viper would be removed during the off-season due to its high maintenance costs and low ridership. As the 2005 season started, Viper never opened, and the area was closed off to the public. Over the spring and summer, demolition work began around the coaster, leaving only Viper Station intact. As the season progressed, rumors began to swirl around that 2 other attractions in the area were also rumored to be removed in preparation for a new attraction for the 2006 season. At the end of the summer season, Rolling Thunder would close for construction and demolition around the area. Rodeo Stampede, a Huss breakdance flat ride, was closed and relocated to Six Flags Over Texas, where it opened in 2006 and still operates today as Rodeo. Taz's Twister, a rotor attraction, sadly was scrapped, never to operate again. 2006 saw the most dramatic change to Rolling Thunder with the addition of Plaza del Carnaval, which featured 2 new attractions, Tango, a rock and tug children's flat ride, and of course, El Toro, the third and North America's only intimate prefabricated wooden coaster. To fit El Toro into the area, the ride used the former Viper Station, used the waterfront where Taz's Tornado and Rodeo Stampede were, and featured a 70-foot tall hill known as the Rolling Thunder Hill that features an intense negative 2G airtime moment that would allow El Toro to go into the Twister section finale inside of Rolling Thunder's infield. Never before were guests able to head inside Rolling Thunder's infield, and Rolling Thunder received a brand new head chopper on the first shot. Now, even with this new feature on Rolling Thunder, ridership began to decline as guests wanted to ride the brand new, taller, faster, steeper, smoother, more intense wooden roller coaster right next door. Rolling Thunder's presence in the area became much more of a family ride than the thrill coaster it was known for many years to be. During this time, Rolling Thunder also lost its classic lightning bolt sign in favor of a much smaller, much less impressive basic sign that just said the ride's name with Western themed letters. As the years went on, rumors kept swirling around that Rolling Thunder would be removed, as it just couldn't compare to its big brother right next door, but the coaster remained very much unchanged. The coaster began getting rougher and rougher after every passing season, with minimal work done to smooth out the track and to improve the rider experience. During the 2012 season, after seeing the success of New Texas Giant over at Six Flags Over Texas, enthusiasts began speculating if Rolling Thunder would be modified with Rocky Mountain Construction's I-Box track, as it would be a perfect candidate for the conversion. 2 RMC hybrids side by side. How awesome would that be for the 2013 season? Soon after the RMC rumors began, new rumors started going around stating that the coaster would close in September of 2013, but not for the conversion. In late August of 2013, Six Flags confirmed these rumors in the announcement video of Zumanjaro Drop of Doom, where Rolling Thunder was nowhere to be found. The park stated that the ride was being removed to make room for the addition, but as the attraction was built on the side of Kingdakev, that just made no sense. The attraction's queue line did use up some of Rolling Thunder's land, but that could have easily been placed between Rolling Thunder and Kingdakev. So why's it gone? To put it simply, the cost to maintain the ride and the lack of maintenance that the ride has received in the last few years of its life. The ride structure was rumored to be unusable at its 2013 state for an RMC conversion due to its condition. If an RMC were to be built, the coaster would need much of its structure replaced, making the addition far too costly. The ride was also quickly becoming a maintenance nightmare. The coaster needed multiple updates to bring it up to modern day standards. The coaster was running with its original buzz bar trains that were well over 30 years old, and running with the old skid brakes that could be a safety issue in heavy rain. The ride also needed extensive track work and was desperately in need of a paint job. All of that on top of the fact that the ride just wasn't really that popular anymore, made it a really easy decision for the park to unfortunately call it quits. Rolling Thunder's final day of operation was on September 8th, 2013. The final train was filled with employees that have worked on the coaster over the years. If you've never worked as a ride operator, working on a ride that you really enjoy, you become very attached to it, and you're able to create all these amazing memories that you'll never forget. So when a ride like this closes, it can be very upsetting, and it's only right that the people that worked on Rolling Thunder got its last rides. I was lucky enough to ride Rolling Thunder for my final time during its final week of operation. I was working at Great Adventure at the time, and I was able to leave work a little bit early and head over to get one final ride with one of my good friends. I'm not gonna lie, I did tear up a little bit. Rolling Thunder was the first major wooden coaster that I rode at 8 years old with my mom. It sparked the thrill seeker in me, and it got me to be the enthusiast I am today. I'm happy that the park still has little pieces of the attraction around for us to remember the coaster. For example, the bottom of the first drop is still intact under the Rolling Thunder Hill of El Toro. The plan was originally to fix up 2 of the trains and make it a memorial for the coaster. Unfortunately, the park just never got around to it. The park also occasionally puts one of the cars out for seasonal events as a photo op. It's always nice to see the park remembering its former attractions. Well, that's gonna do it for today's episode of Why It's Gone. If you want to see your favorite defunct rides on the series, make sure to leave it in the comments below, and I'll try my best to cover it in a future episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you saw, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe as it really helps the channel out, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care. Bye.